I'm on page 134 of our Osborne book, Spreadsheet Functions, Stage 2. So you'll need to continue with T4, Exercise 2 that we created in the last exercise. We're now going to make changes to the format and enter some more formulas. So we're going to format the salary data, which is in column E, so that each value displays 1,000 separator with no decimal places. So I'm going to highlight from E5 to E11, right-click Format Cells. I want that to be as value, so I'm going to click Number, and I'm going to click on 1,000 separator. I don't want any decimal places, so I'm going to reduce that to 0 and click OK. There we have it. It's put the comma in, which separates your thousands from your hundreds. I want to hide column F and G, so I'm going to click on F and G, right click and hide. It's not gone because if you look E and H, if I want it back, I highlight E and H, right click unhide, and it's there. But I don't, so I'm going to hide it. I want to make sure all text in row 3 and 4 are bold and underlined. So I'm going to select 3 and 4, bold and underline. You could do Control B and Control U. The choice is yours. In H4, I want to enter service, but I'm going to say H3. And in H4, I want to enter award. I now want to enter a row between 2 and 3, so I'm going to click on number 3, right click insert. In A3, I want to enter award date in italics. So I'll do my formatting first so I don't have to do it afterwards. And now I can type award date. If I need to, I could increase the size of column A so it fits nice and neat. But as mine does already, I don't need to. But if you needed to, click on A, go to the line between A and B, left click, drag, or double click. The choice is yours. In B3, I want to enter a date, 01/01/2005. We're going to use a formula in H to calculate whether or not an employee was employed before the 1st of January 05 and whether they'll receive an award. We're going to use an if function to do the calculation in B3, where the date is compared against the date that's been entered. So I'm going to move to H6 and I want to use an if function. So I'm going to click on the drop down of auto sum, select more functions. If you have it in the most recently used, you can use it. If not, just type it there, if, and press enter and the computer will find it. Then you can double click and you can use the formula builder. I recommend you become familiar with the formula builder as it helps you do your formulas with more ease. Otherwise, you're going to have to learn to write it manually. So the way I would explain the if is in the logical test, it's like, if I do this, what will happen? If this will happen, then you'll click this. If that will happen, then you'll click that. So I'll say that again. If I want to do something, what will happen? If this will happen, then this. If that will happen, then that. So, as it says, we're going to use a formula in column H to calculate whether or not an employee was employed before the 1st of January 2005. If they were, they may receive a service award. If they weren't, then they won't. So, if in C6, was less than B3, so less than B3, don't forget to put your $sign around B3, otherwise you're going to have problems, because when we replicate down, it will basically move to B4 and so forth. So if C6, the start date, is less than B3? If it is, we're going to say yes. And if it isn't, we're going to say no. So this is what I'm looking for, the logic test. Now, if your computer shows it up here, then that's brilliant. If you ever get confused, what does this step mean? Just read it. Is any value or expression that can be evaluated to true, false, yes, no, right, wrong, and so forth. If it's true, then you want the true outcome to come in the true, and if not, you want the false outcome to come there. So if we look, were they hired before that date? If the answer is yes, then we want our answer to come up yes here. If not, we want it to come up no. Or in this case, we can see that they were hired before the award date. So that means they are entitled to a bonus or an award. When you know that that one's correct, you can replicate down so that it does all the fields. But if your answers start going wrong, it's because you probably haven't put a $sign around the B3. We want to save our workbook keeping the same name. Take a second and have a look at the formulas to make sure you're happy and make yourself more familiar with how to write it out if you was required to do it manually. But this stage is now finished.